All right, everyone. You should see the shared board right now. So I'll just start at the top. We'll kind of get through it. So IBC Governance, Guillaume, you were going to have a meeting.
So we did meet last Friday. So I kind of explained to the representative of all chains various questions and concerns, considerations that applied to IBC Governance. So I think as everyone realized, and they probably already knew, but there's quite a few questions that will need to be answered. The purpose of the call last week was to kind of present all of these various, items that will need to be tackled and decisions that need to be taken. And we did have a very good discussion. Everyone had very interesting ideas and takes on the subject. We're going to do another call tomorrow at the same time than we did last week, and we're hoping to kind of start providing some of these solutions and some of these standards that will drive the deployment of IBC and wrap tokens and such things. So another call tomorrow, I think with the same people.
Okay, little question about that. Is there, it's like, this is a little bit meta, but is there governance on the governance call? Meaning, are we starting to solidify this to potential project action items or deliverables? You know, too early for timelines and things like that, but have you thought about that? Do you need assistance or?
I would think my gut feeling is this is probably going to start the next week and onwards, because like last week was really just kind of bringing up to the attention of the coalition members these kind of questions, and then everyone kind of left with the homework of thinking about it and starting to discuss proposed solutions. So tomorrow we'll do another roundtable about these ideas and solutions that were floated, and we will now start kind of quote unquote voting on which ones that we will want to implement, and that would probably be the week after that. So it's a pretty big item. There's not like none of these questions are easy to answer, as everyone I think realized. So it will need definitely some like a few iterations, and I think like probably starting next week or maybe the week after, we should start to see like some actionable action items that can be tackled.
All right, excellent. All right, next one, IBC sidechain model.
Yeah, so I had a discussion with Jesse and with Lucas. So WAX and TELOS. I still have to have a discussion about this with representatives from the ENF. What really transpires immediately from these discussions is that every chain will have completely different perspective and needs and basically like approach to side chains due to differences in the governance process and in the various rules that apply to the system contracts for these chains, as well as needs. You know, like for WAX, it's a much more pressing need than it is for any of the other chains. Maybe EOS would get there at some point, could be quite soon. But I think TELOS and UX are still like the pressure is definitely not as important. There are some other opportunities, however, in terms of like crafting narrative and in order like regards to questions of business development opportunities that may still warrant some discussion. But yeah, like it's moving forward. I think this is going to be really like it's a question that each chain has to like ponder and meditate on their own, based on their own reality, their own objectives, their own governance rules and whatnot. So I think we can probably remove it from the general coalition like perspective. It's going to be really like a chain by chain basis.
So I just want to be clear, because I think I understood what you're saying, but are we essentially saying that because of the variance in priority, that this is not necessarily going to become an MVP requirement for the IBC rollout, but that the implementation on the chain side can vary.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And implementation priorities, like different models and whatnot. So it's going to be it's kind of like the system contracts of each chains. They are very different from one chain to the other. Just like the sidechain scaling model would be also very different from one chain to the next. So of course we're here. We're happy to help with structuring these models in a way that makes sense and that achieves the goals of each of the chains. But I think it falls outside of the scope of the coalition, because it's not like there's not going to be much of that stuff that can be it's not a one size fits all solution. It's going to be like a case by case basis.
All right, sounds good. All right, Ted's not here today. I do know that this conversation's in process, but when he returns next week, he can give us an update on the developer onboarding and developer workshops. All right. So we talked a little bit about IBC. We know that milestone 3 was approved. Do you want to give a quick status on this? I know this is kind of turned into a status update.
Yeah. So I did. Milestone 3 was approved. Eric thinks he's going to have time to begin or to maybe hopefully complete the review of the bridge contract next week. So this is what we're hoping for. There is in the meanwhile, we did deploy the IBC solution now to all test nets of all the chains. So that was not a milestone, but we decided to do it anyway to essentially support everyone. We do have a bit of testing to do before we release the updated front end. There's still a few things to finish, to iron out, but I think sometime over the next few days we should have a functional solution with the star topology connecting basically like the 5 testnets. It's the 4 coalition chains, and EOS has 2 testnets, Jungle and Jungle 4 and Kylan. So now all of these testnets, these 5 testnets, will be meshed together for IBC, allowing wrap token transfers between each of them. And that is going to basically mimic the deployment setup that we're going to have for the main nets. Excellent.
That's great news.
And then we also started working on IBC now that some of the not IBC, instant finality. Now that IBC is getting to a point where it's been deployed, it's at this point it's just reviewing it. We have an audit by Sentinel planned for the end of October. So we're still very much on time, and actually a little bit ahead of schedule for the IBC stuff. Despite still waiting on some reviews, but if the reviews are positive, then basically we're ready to deploy to mainnet whenever, and it's just a question of deciding when the timing is right from a calendar perspective, with all these announcements and all these massive pipeline of news. So just about finding a slot there that makes sense for everyone.
Yeah, and you are updating kind of a more detailed schedule with Adam, correct?
Correct. Yeah, exactly. So Adam and I have been meeting on Tuesdays for the last couple of weeks, and just going through a more detailed, basically like status updates as needed. Of course, this can be presented to the rest of the coalition if need be.
No, I have a question. Is an EVM, you said like the version 1 before proof of stake EVM proofs, is that in scope for the IBC work? I know you said you did it, but it wasn't.
So the IBC allows you to prove any action that takes place on a blockchain to another blockchain. So in the context of EVM, being kind of emulated on top of an Antelope chain, it becomes possible to also, prove these actions to another chain and to have some consequences program and achieve the same result. But what's going to be needed is all of that translation layer the same kind of stuff that we were discussing a few days ago, like between, say, like the types that are exposed by the EVM versus the EOSIO native types. And we do have the same kind of issue with the Yield Plus program, where we want to be able to query the balances of essentially like addresses and like their ERC20 equivalent tokens inside the scope of the EVM on EOS mainnet. But there has to be like some, like translation layers that are built to make it possible, essentially. So that's like IBC becomes possible as long as these translation layers exist and are available. So that's a bit out of scope, but like still possible. It's just bit more like wrappers to build and handlers and that kind of stuff.
And did you say when you said that you had done it with EVMs, was it on like a traditional EVM? Because I mean, I think you said
right.
You could do it between Antelope chains because the EVM's a layer above, and you could basically do the proof at the Antelope layer.
So that's a bit different. What we did essentially is we built a proof verifier in that is like written in Solidity that can be executed by an EVM compatible chain. So essentially, like that's kind of part of the solution to have IBC communication with other like blockchain types, essentially, like that are non-Antelope based. And but it's just one part of the solution, because the other part of the solution to have a bidirectional bridge is to also be able to implement their consensus model inside of an EOSIO smart contract and be able to process their like to essentially act as a light client of these chains. So it's kind of a partial solution, but it's not complete just yet. So that's also out of scope of our proposal, but this is something that eventually we will also release once it can be bundled into a useful product, I guess.
So it sounds like the shortest path for using this Antelope IBC between EVMs that are built on top of Antelope would be the first approach that you described, using
essentially exposing
Antelope. Yeah.
Right,
and
exactly.
then if you want to open up and actually use it with pure EVM.
And that would also be more cost effective and cleaner from a implementation standpoint.
Okay, cool. I have a better understanding now. Thank you.
No problem. So I guess that's that's pretty much it for IBC. Now for instant finality, we, like I said, we also started working on that part. So we've identified a framework for BLS signatures, aggregate signatures, that works very well, that is actively developed, and it's performs very well so far. So we've built, we were able to integrate it into a forked version of the Antelope code base. We're basing it off 3.1.1. So that's, I think, the version that block producers are currently running on EOS mainnet. So we're going to be essentially monitoring the situation. If we see that there is another version that is starting to emerge, we will rebase our changes of that so that we stay more or less in sync and current with the version that is available. But so far we've been able to build and to create some unit tests using these BLS signatures within the context of Antelope. So that's progressing nicely. So I think we're also going to be we should be also hopefully ahead of time on the aggregate signatures related milestones as well.
All right, excellent. Any questions on instant finality? All right. Next item, this is the scalability plus blue paper. As we discussed last week, everything was formatted for all three languages, finishing final touches. Zach is not available today to comment on this, so we'll get confirmation next week that this is wrapped up and completed. All right, next one, Wallet SDK. Douglas is not here today, but Aaron, you are. Did you and Douglas have a discussion on creating the MSIG?
Yes, I believe it was in the main channel for the coalition. I don't know if it's been created or not yet, though.
Okay. So perhaps we should then leave this open until we get confirmation from Douglas.
Sounds good.
In terms of the overall SDK projects, I believe you've also been meeting with Adam and starting the process of getting, kind of weekly updates. Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct. We met last Friday and filled out the first kind of progress report, even though it was a little sparse, but went through the process and looks like we'll have a good way to do weekly reporting on it moving forward.
Excellent. Yeah, I think with this and also with IBC and Instant Finality, we should look to take those weekly status reports and get them published so anybody can skim them at their leisure. As a reminder to everybody, this was the same template we discussed a couple of months ago. It has the typical things you'd find on it: open issues, risks, milestone progress, that typical kind of stuff. All right. RPC Secure Smart Contract. So this was posted earlier in the week. I gave an explanation on the fact that there were so many documents, but I thought I would re-explain to make sure everybody was clear. In the RFP, there were, I believe, 17 groups of business requirements, and 3 companies, that was EOS Nation, DeFi Box, and what used to be known as Pizza Finance. They're renaming, I believe, to Offline Studio. The 3 of them have agreed that 14 out of the 17 items, all 3 of them are collaborating and developing a solution. And they've worked out like the parsing of the money, and effort amongst themselves. The remaining 3, that group of companies has decided that Offline Studio will do them independently. And so what you'll see in the channel is that it looks like there's 2 proposals, but you need to take the 2 spreadsheets and add them together, because the first spreadsheet has 14 requirements and then the cost breakdown. And then the second spreadsheet has the remaining 3. And if you click through on the tabs, they do have like hourly breakouts and, the different types of resources. I would say that we are a little late on getting back to the companies because there's been a lot of people out of town and traveling inside the coalition. I don't know that we could have helped that, but I would say that if you guys haven't read these yet, we should probably get through them pretty quickly so we can get this work started. And maybe we can schedule to have a vote to release this, or if there's open questions, kind of that pushback of saying, okay, well, overall, this looks good, but we want to kind of work through this, then, let's try to get that moving in the channel so we don't have to lose a week on this and we can get that going. Is that kind of a good approach to everybody? Is it a bad approach?
It sounds good. I was hoping it would be kind of consolidated. So
sounds good.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, as I mentioned, because we are also part of that, we're a subcontractor to that bid. I'm also going to abstain from voting and commenting.
My apologies. You're right. You were the 4th. I saw that actually.
It's just a minor. It's a minor part. We're just going to be doing the documentation, but still, we're going to be abstaining.
So why not, at the bottom of this, why not did opt out a long time ago? Maybe we should just remove their name from it, I think, or else do strike out or something so that we don't have to, because now it's 3. And I'm trying to, great. I see you're making that change. I'm trying to understand if this is something that you're looking for feedback from everyone or only specific people. To be honest, I hadn't dug into this because I thought there was a group of people who were, a set group of people who were selected to do that, and that I wasn't part of it. Should it? But if that's not the case, then I'll update my understanding. What is the plan there?
Well,
Do you want everyone to weigh in?
Because we've had the previous RFPs have been a couple times larger. And so what the coalition has done is assign somebody to be kind of a point person to negotiate. And we can do that again this time as well. But it seems to me that everybody would at least want to look over the pricing and determine if this is even in the right ballpark. And then, maybe that's something that if you guys independently, say in the channel, hey, why don't we pick somebody to go talk to them directly? Or you guys might find that the pricing is, equitable and you want to accept it. That's why I think we haven't picked a point person, because again, it is a little smaller. I don't know that there are challenges yet on the cost, because people need to review it first.
I would say my learning coming out of this would be, the takeaway is that if we don't provide a point person for everything, no matter how small, it doesn't get done. It's my life lesson.
Yeah,
I'll bring to this process.
Yeah, I'll accept that. The question is, who's going to be the point person then?
Yeah, I like what Jeff said at some point. Said you need to know which neck to choke.
Yep, single note to choke, single throat to choke.
Yeah, yeah. So Eve and I did this on the gray mass proposal. I don't know if that's meant to be a sort of an ongoing role. If it is, that's fine. I'm happy to do that, and then I'll dig in and look at everything. Just need to, without having anybody basically name. I like when people are talking French, I pretty much just listen for my name. If I'm not on a panel, and I think we all do that, and that's why it really works this way. It'd be great if somebody wants to step forward. If not, I'm happy to do it in conjunction with Eve, but only if Eve or somebody else, comes on board. I actually think that any kind of negotiation does have the risk of the appearance of bias, and I think one of the ways to address that is just make sure that there's two people, on any such negotiation. Right. Because I wouldn't accuse anyone here of doing anything special, but or doing anything underhanded. But I think that's not the standard. The standard is to make sure that we don't have even the appearance of possibility of doing anything, because that's how we roll.
Agreed. So I would say this: since Guillaume obviously is excluded from being a point person, Jesse and Lucas, do you have an opinion on this? And I would obviously I can't sign up Eve, but at the same time, knowing his proclivity to this, I'm sure he would be happy to participate.
I bet he would be. I don't know, but his schedule is, as I understand it, he's on a Asian tour right now.
He is.
And that's a lot to I don't want to sign him up for other stuff, but
yeah, we would have to ask him. I can tell you from my side, my dance card is full. As much as I would like to take on more, there's no way.
Yeah, to be honest, mine is very full too. We're, in addition to a lot of other things we're doing, Good Block itself, we're preparing a crowd fund raise of a few $1 million on Republic for D-Store. So that's kind of all encompassing for us. But I know that everybody is stuffed to the gills. So I, try and be mindful of that as well. I don't know how we resolve that on this particular call. We just need to be able to reach out to a few more people. This is, and I apologize for being late. I got held up on a call that was pretty important. But I think that there's not very many people here. Our attendance has dwindled a bit on this particular meeting, and I think that there are people in our own community here that we could reach out to who might be perfectly capable of doing this.
Yeah, I think though, remember, we've disinvited quite a few people from this meeting, and particularly on the ENF side. So the meetings are going to feel lighter, but we have 3 out of the 4 chains represented here, right? Eve and Ted are not. Obviously, I'm with ENF, so I can talk up to a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the question really to the 3, has to be the 2 remaining chains because Guillaume is out, is who's that second person? And I will tentatively put Eve down, but I'll send him a note confirming just for sake of expediency. And we'll all understand that if he comes back and says his calendar can't do it, then we've got to pick this up again. It's just, we're already late getting this going. The other thing that I would remind everybody is we're not required to negotiate down. If the 4 chain heads like the price and they think it's equitable, then that's what, quote, the negotiation is, right? I'm just throwing that out there as this doesn't have to be like 10 hours of extra work.
Okay. Well, listen, if Eve or somebody from ENF will do it, I will do it. Because we just need somebody to take charge. And, I'd rather preserve, Jesse on TELOS' side. Jesse does a ton of stuff for us on the technical side. So I don't want to burn him out on this as well.
All right. So tell you what, we'll make that the plan, Douglas, and I'll get an answer from Eve as soon as possible. And if he says yes, we got a plan. And if not, we'll come back to the drawing board.
Cool. Can you ping me on offline on Telegram? Just DM me there so we can follow up on this. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Documentation for Antelope. This is just a quick update. We said we'll be around a month before the ENF DevRel team can address. So we'll just kind of leave this open for a couple more weeks. And then reprioritization of the top items. Again, everybody had the spreadsheet last week. We have till next week to add your top 5 candidates by going into that spreadsheet and marking an X on the 5 ones you like. Any questions about that?
Pretty straightforward. This has been communicated with our community, and we're going to get everyone's feedback by Monday, and then we'll be ready to provide prioritization from our side.
Excellent. Perfect. Any questions from UX TELOS?
Crystal clear on our end. Will be it's going to be done.
Excellent.
Yeah, we're good.
All right. So that's the end of the in progress items. Nothing on the agenda. Does anybody have anything you want to bring up in the remaining time? All right. Let's call
Short
that
and sweet.
Another record.
All right. You guys have a great one. I'll talk to you guys on Telegram, I'm sure.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers.
Bye.